name is Guy Kawasaky, and I am going to talk to you today about the art of innovation. I'll tell you a little bit about my background first, okay? So I'm from Silicon Valley. I worked for Apple. I was Apple's software evangelist. How many of you use Macintoshes in this audience? Yeah. And I worked in the Macintosh division. This meant that I worked for Steve Jobs, and I'll show you a picture of the Macintosh division in the next slide. So I've worked for Apple. I've started several software companies. I've become a writer and a speaker. I'm also currently working for a company called Canva out of Sydney, Australia. But I wanted to show you, I've been to Bogota before, and one of my most favorite memories of your city is this picture. So this is at Andres, and I love to eat meat, and Andres is a great place to eat meat. It's definitely worth the 2 hours it takes to get there. So I had a great time. This is the Macintosh division. This is the group of people that I worked with. I am in the upper left-hand corner. You can barely see my face. One of my big mistakes is if I had known how successful Apple would become, I would have stood in the front of this picture. In the front is Steve Jobs. Let me tell you about Steve Jobs, because many people like to hear stories about him. Working for Steve was a remarkable experience. He was very difficult to work for. He was very demanding. He was a perfectionist. He was very scary, as a matter of fact. This is the only time I have ever seen Steve Jobs on his knees. And I'll tell you a Steve Jobs story so you understand what it was like to work for him. So one day, I'm in my cubicle, and Steve comes into my cubicle with someone I had never met before. And he asked me, Guy, what do you think of this company called Nowhere, K-N-O-W-A-R-E? And I said, well, Steve, it's kind of a mediocre company. The product is mediocre. It doesn't take advantage of graphics. It doesn't take advantage of color. It's a very sort of simple educational software company. Pretty mediocre. And he turned to the other person, then he turned back to me, and he said, Guy, I want you to meet the CEO of the company. So that's what it was like working for Steve Jobs. These people were probably the largest collection of egomaniacs in the history of Silicon Valley. And that's saying a lot, because there are a lot of egomaniacs in Silicon Valley. Because we work for Apple, we had very special rules, unlike other parts of Apple. We had a travel policy where we could fly first class for any flight over 2 hours. I interpreted that rule to be that the 2 hours begins at the moment you leave your apartment. So I flew first class everywhere. Back then, the company had the Apple II division, which was making all the money because it was shipping. And this is the Macintosh division, which was spending all the money because we were not shipping. And we were such bad people, we would not let Apple II division employees into this building. And they quickly figured out that they were not being allowed into a building that they were paying for. So they came up with a great joke about us, which is, how many Macintosh division employees does it take to screw in a light bulb? The answer is 1. The Macintosh division employee holds up the light bulb and expects the universe to revolve around him. There's a Microsoft version of this joke, which is, how many Microsoft employees does it take to screw in a light bulb? And the answer to that is none, because Bill Gates has declared darkness the new standard. I'm going to use a top 10 format to explain the 10 key points of innovation. I hope that I can provide some insights, some information, some inspiration for you to create innovative products and services and companies that can change the world. These are the top 10 lessons that I learned about innovation. Lesson number 1 is that great innovation occurs when people want to make meaning. That is, they want to change the world. To not simply make money, but to make the world a better place. If you look at the great companies, they have made the world a better place. And when you make the world a better place, you also probably make money. But I would ask you to consider, as you create your companies, you create your products, create your services, apply this test to yourself. Are we making the world a better place? Are we making meaning? So here are, this is the Macintosh, I can't blame anything. Just a second. If this were a Windows machine, we'd have to stop the conference right now, but it's not. So these are some examples of companies. These are some examples of the companies and the meaning that they made in the world. First, there's Apple. Apple democratized computing. It made it so many people could have a computer. Second example is Google. Google made information available to everyone. And finally, there's eBay. eBay made commerce available to anyone. You didn't have to be a large company. So I want you to look at these 3 examples and see the company and the kind of meaning that they made. And when they made meaning, they improved people's lives, they changed the world, and they also made money. But the starting point for these companies was making meaning. So point number 1 is to make meaning. Point number 2 is to make a mantra. You know, many companies, particularly in America, like to make mission statements. Here's an example. The mission of Wendy's is to deliver superior quality products and services for our customers and communities through leadership, innovation, and partnerships. Wendy's is a fast food restaurant. I have eaten at Wendy's. I have driven through Wendy's. I have taken my family to Wendy's many, many times. But in all those times, it has never occurred to me that what I am doing is participating in leadership, innovation, and partnerships. I thought I was just getting a Coke, French fries, and a cheeseburger. This is what's fundamentally wrong with mission statements. They're too long. People can't remember them. If you took the word Wendy's out of that, how many of you would recognize that as possibly applying to Wendy's? Very few people. The fundamental flaws with mission statement. So what I ask you, instead of making a mission statement, is to make a 2 or 3 word mantra. A 2 or 3 word mantra that describes why your company or your product should exist. So this is some examples of companies and their mantras. The mantra of Wendy's should be healthy, fast food. That's what Wendy's stands for. Healthy, fast food. 3 words. Not 25 words in their mission statement. 3 words in their mantra. Nike has a fantastic slogan, just do it. But why does Nike exist? Authentic, athletic performance. And the final example is FedEx. When you absolutely, positively want something, someplace, when you want peace of mind, it is FedEx. These are 3 examples of companies that have mantras that can describe why they exist in 2 or 3 words. So as you create your product, as you create your service, I ask you to come up with a mantra or why your product, why your service should exist. 2 or 3 words. Everybody in the company can memorize it. You can use it to communicate it with your customers, with your vendors, with your partners, your employees. The world will understand why you exist. Make a mantra. Step number 3 is about the expectations of innovation. Great innovation occurs because you jump to the next curve, not because you do something slightly better on the same curve. For example, there used to be an ice harvesting industry in the United States in the winter, in the 1900s, early 1900s. People would go to a frozen lake or a frozen pond and cut blocks of ice. They would sell this ice to people so that they could store food longer. That was ice 1.0. About 30 years later, there was ice 2.0. Now people froze water centrally. The ice man delivered ice in an ice truck. This is much better than ice harvesting because you didn't have to live in a cold city. It didn't have to be winter. You could freeze water any time of year. 30 more years go by, and now we have it blanked out again. 30 years go by, and we have the refrigerator curve. This is even better than an ice factory, because the ice factory had to deliver ice to your house. The ice man had to deliver ice in an ice truck. With a refrigerator, you have your own personal ice factory. You have your own refrigerator in your house. The 3 curves of ice: harvesting, factory, refrigerator. The very interesting thing is that none of the companies went from one curve to the next curve to the next curve. The ice harvester did not embrace the ice factory, and the ice factory did not embrace the refrigerator company. It's because most companies define themselves in terms of what they already do. If you define your business as cutting blocks of ice from a frozen lake, you don't embrace the ice factory. If you define your business as freezing water centrally and then delivering the ice blocks, you don't embrace the refrigerator company. This is the same reason why none of us use a Remington Rand or Smith Corona computer today. Most companies define their businesses according to what they do. What you should do is define your business according to the benefit that you provide. Because the ice harvester, the ice factory, and the refrigerator company all do the same thing. They provide a way for people to have cleanliness and convenience. They are fundamentally in the cleanliness and convenience business. And if you define yourself as being in the cleanliness and convenience business, then you would jump from ice harvester to ice factory to refrigerator. So as you build your companies, remember, it's not the process of what you do, it is the benefits of what you provide. Go from harvesting ice to freezing water to building refrigerators. Here are some examples of companies and the curves that they have jumped. For example, Uber. Uber is not a slightly better taxi cab company. Uber is the next curve in transportation. Airbnb. Airbnb doesn't buy hotels. It doesn't own rooms. It makes a market for people who want to rent their homes, rent their apartments. It is the next curve in hotels. And TaskRabbit. You have something here called Kiwi, right? Similar concept. It is the next curve in people getting their tasks and their little projects done. Each of these companies have not done something slightly better on the same curve. They have jumped to the next curve. Great innovation occurs when you jump to the next curve. Number 4, Number 4 is the 5 qualities of great products and great services. First of all, great products and great services are deep. Lots of features, lots of functionality. You have anticipated what people need as they come up the power curve. This is one of my favorite examples of a deep product. This is a sandal. It's made by Reef. Every sandal in the world has one primary purpose: to protect your feet. This sandal, however, has a metal clip in the middle of the sole. And the purpose of that metal clip is to open beer bottles. This sandal has twice the depth of any other sandal in the world. Great products are also intelligent. When you look at them, you understand that the company knew that you had a problem, that there was an opportunity. This is a GT500 Shelby Mustang. This Shelby Mustang has 650 horsepower. If you're not into cars, this is equivalent to 6.9 Priuses. This car is an extremely fast car. I would love to buy a car like this. I'm 61 years old. I'm going through my midlife crisis. Feelings of inadequacy, feelings of impotency. I would love to compensate for my feelings of inadequacy by buying a really fast car like this. But I have 4 children. 2 of the children don't have licenses yet. 2 of the children, however, do. They are 20 and 22, both boys. And the concept of either of those boys driving a Ford Mustang with 650 horsepower scares the life out of me. It would be immoral to unleash upon society my 2 boys in a car that fast. But Ford has a very intelligent product called the My Key. And what the My Key enables you to do is program the top speed of the car into the key. So yes, Dad is gone for 2 days. He is in Bogota. We can use his Mustang. But the key that I left is programmed to allow them to go no faster than 55 miles an hour. That is an intelligent product. Great products, great services, great companies are also complete. It's the breadth of what they offer. Think of Amazon. You buy books from Amazon. You buy cameras from Amazon. You self-publish your book at Amazon. You host your website at Amazon. Amazon is trying to provide all these kinds of services. Social media, commerce, publishing. It's the totality of what Amazon offers. A very complete offering. Great products, great services, great companies. I may just stand here and do this. Great products, great services, great companies are also empowering. This is a MacBook Air, right? How many of you have a MacBook Air? All right. So you know as well as I do that a MacBook Air is this cool, thin piece of awesome aluminum. It looks like it was carved from a solid block of aluminum by Tibetan monks, right? This computer becomes one with you. It makes you more creative. It makes you more productive. By contrast, think of the typical Windows laptop. With Windows, it's you or Windows. Only one of you can win. You need to wrestle Windows to the ground. It is big and thick and plastic and black and ugly. There's a difference. Macintosh empowers people. You know, you can take the evangelist out of Apple, but you can't take the apple out of the evangelist. Macintosh empowers people. It makes them more creative and more productive. The last concept, and I really am going to give up on this. The last concept is that great products are elegant. Somebody cared about the user interface design. Someone cared about the industrial design. This is an Eames chair, most elegant chair. So as you try to jump curves, I want you to give yourself a test. Are you creating something that's deep, intelligent, complete, empowering, and elegant? Are you rolling the dice? Those are the 5 qualities of great innovation. I'm going to set this up right if it kills me. Number 5. Have you heard the song, Don't Worry, Be Happy?
Don't worry, be happy.
Well, what innovators do is they don't worry, be crappy. Which means that when you have jumped curves, when you're doing something that's 10 times better, it's okay to have elements of crappiness to your product. The first Macintosh was 128K. It had a 400K floppy drive. We thought that was a humongous drive. We were working on a secret project to have a 5 megabyte hard disk. 5 megabyte, not gigabyte, not terabyte. 5 megabyte. You can't even have a font in 5 megabytes today, right? Thanks to my efforts, there was no software. Arguably, the first Macintosh was a piece of crap, but it was a revolutionary piece of crap. The first Macintosh was already 10 times better than the best MS-DOS, the best Apple II. And I learned a very valuable lesson. If you wait for the perfect world, when all the chips are available, when all the software is done, when all the hardware is available, you will never ship. I'm not saying you should ship crap, okay? I'm saying that when you have jump curves, when you are 10 times better, it's okay for your product or service to have elements of crappiness to it. Don't worry, be crappy. However, if you are starting a biotech company, please don't listen to this recommendation. Number 6, I stole from Chairman Mao. Chairman Mao said, let 100 flowers blossom. Not clear to me how he ever truly implemented that, but letting 100 flowers blossom means that at the start of great innovation, you may notice a very interesting thing. That is, people who you did not plan to be your customers buy your product or service. And they may buy them in large quantities. And many companies freak out when this happens. You know, why are these people buying our products in large quantities? We did not intend them to be our customers, and they're using our products in unintended ways. And I will tell you, when that happens, don't freak out. As an entrepreneur, the first thing you need to do is take the money. Always take the money. So with Macintosh, in the mid-'80s, we thought we had a spreadsheet, database, and word processing computer. We were 0 for 3 there, okay? Luckily, there was a product that bloomed. It was called Aldous PageMaker. Aldous PageMaker created a forest of flowers called desktop publishing. And if it wasn't for desktop publishing, there would be no Apple today. Aldous PageMaker and desktop publishing saved Apple. I think that Aldous PageMaker was a gift from God to Apple, to save Apple. And I believe in God. And one of the reasons why I believe in God is that there is no other explanation for Apple's continued survival than the existence of God. My recommendation here is you take your best shot at positioning and branding your product or service. But then you ship. And then reality hits. And you may find, if you're lucky, that people you did not anticipate as your customers will use your product or service. And at that point, you declare victory. And you say, yes, our intention was Macintosh would be a fantastic desktop publishing machine. The way it works in Silicon Valley, we throw a lot of ideas against the wall. A few of those ideas stick to the wall. We go up to the wall. We paint a bullseye around the ones that stick, and we say, we hit the bullseye. That's how it works in Silicon Valley. Okay? Let 100 flowers blossom. Number seven is that you should polarize people. Number 7 means that great products, great service upset some people, pisses some people off. You know, some people love Macintosh, some people hate Macintosh. Some people love Android. I love Android. Some people hate Android. Great products and great services tend to polarize people. This is a picture of a TiVo, and what a TiVo does is lets you record television programs. Traveling so much, I always have a TiVo. Actually, my house has 4 TiVos running because I love TV so much. And you know what? People like me, we love our TiVo because it shifts when the program is running. There are, however, people who hate TiVos, large brands and large advertising agencies. Because people who own TiVos, we never, ever watch commercials. There's one day a year we watch commercials, which is Super Bowl Sunday. Every other day of the year, we just blow through the commercials. We skip through the commercials. Those people hate TiVo. People like me love TiVo. The message is that great products, great services, great innovation polarizes people. Some people are going to love what you do, and some people are going to hate what you do. That's okay. The worst case is people don't care what you do. That's what you should fear. Polarize people. Okay. Your mouth to God's ear. You promise? Okay. Okay. I'm going to click. Yay! Number 8. In America, in the 60s and 70s, we had this radical group of people called the Black Panthers. And they were fighting for racial equality in somewhat violent ways. So they had a slogan, burn, baby, burn. They wanted to burn down the existing political system in America. Well, I will tell you that innovators in business, they need to churn, baby, churn. And by this I mean, you take version 1 of your product, and you have to make it 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5, 2.0. This is one of the hardest things to do if you're a revolutionary. Because to be a revolutionary, truly, to be successful, you need to be in denial. You need to ignore the people who are going to tell you it can't be done, it shouldn't be done, and it isn't necessary. So to be a revolutionary, to be an innovator, you need to be able to ignore people when you start your revolution, but then you need to flip that bit and need to start listening to people as they tell you how to evolve your revolution, how to churn, baby, churn. This is probably the most difficult lesson of all for innovators, because you have to go from ignoring people to listening to people. It took the Macintosh division 2 years to make this transition. Churn, baby, churn. Number 9. Number 9 is all the marketing you need to know. Okay, this one graph is going to explain marketing. So in this graph, we have uniqueness on the vertical axis, and we have value on the horizontal axis. The place you want to be is in the upper right-hand corner, where you are unique and valuable. If you're an engineer, your job is to make a unique and valuable product. If you're a marketeer, your job is to convince the world that you have a unique and valuable product. But let's go through all four corners. In the bottom right corner, we have a situation where you have something valuable, but it is not unique. In that corner, you can still make money, but you always have to compete on price. Because you're putting the same operating system on the same hardware. Dell made billions of dollars there, but you always have to compete on price. In the upper left-hand corner is where you have created something truly unique. Only you have it. But it is of no value. In that corner, you are just plain stupid. In the bottom left corner is the .com corner. And the .com corner is the worst corner of all. Because in that corner, you have a product or service that is not unique and it's not valuable. A good example of this is Pets.com, which was this American company to sell dog food online. Right? The proposition was we can remove the pet food store and give people a great bargain on dog food. The problem with that theory is, yes, you can remove the pet food store, but then you'd have to add shipping and handling. So it was effectively not much cheaper than buying it from the pet food store. And then someone had to be at home when the dead cow in the can was delivered to your house. Just as expensive, slightly more inconvenient. That's why it wasn't valuable. It wasn't unique because people like me funded too many ways to buy dog food online. So I'll give you a little slice of Silicon Valley pitching. The pitch for Pets.com goes like this. 300 million Americans. 1 in 4 owns a dog. That's 75 million owned dogs. Each dog eats 2 cans of dog food per day. Therefore, there's a total addressable market of 150 million cans of dog food per day. With your rock star co-founder, how hard could it be to get a mere 1% of that market? 1% of 150 million cans of dog food per day is 1.5 million cans of dog food per day. And dogs eat 365 days a year. They don't take the weekend off. So the market was, conservatively speaking, 365 times 1.5 million. That's the pitch. And that's why there was Pets.com, MyPets.com, ePets.com, LastMinutePets.com, DiscountPets.com. There are 10 ways to buy dog food online. That's the worst corner of all. The corner you want to be in is the upper right-hand corner. In that upper right-hand corner, we have things like Fandango. Fandango is an online movie ticket buying service in America. So for the theater that I take my kids to, the only way I can buy tickets and print them at home, put them on my phone, is Fandango. I have to use Fandango. And it's very valuable to me because when you take kids to a movie, you really want to know before you go that you have a ticket, that it is not sold out. And even if it's not sold out, you don't want to stand in line to buy the ticket. Fandango, unique and valuable. This is a Breitling emergency watch. So with this watch, if I were to unscrew this big knob and pull it out, there would be an antenna. That antenna would then start broadcasting an emergency signal that airplanes are watching. The reason why this watch works this way is because it's for emergency situations where if you're about to die, you pull this watch, right? If you are skiing and you went off the course and you became, you're freezing to death, you're about to die, you pull this out. If you're sailing and you're blown off course and you're about to die, you pull this out. You don't pull this out when you took the wrong turn. Okay? You pull this out when you're about to die. But when you do pull it out, airplanes see the signal and they send rescuers for you. This is a unique and valuable watch. If you are in that situation, this watch can save your life. There are not many watches that can save your life. And this is a smart car. Many people have cars that can park parallel to the curb. When there's lots of parking, no problem. Park parallel to the curb. How many of you have a car that you can park perpendicular to the curb? When parking is really tight, this is a unique and valuable car because it can park perpendicular to the curb. So what I'm trying to tell you is that all of marketing boils down to this very simple grasp. You want to create a product that is unique and valuable. You want to convince the world that you have something that is unique and valuable. That's where meaning is made. That's where margin is made. That's where history is made. In the upper right-hand corner. Unique and valuable. Number 10. Number 10 is to follow what I call the 10-20-30 rule of PowerPoint. How many of you have to use PowerPoint or Keynote to make presentations? All of you, right? I'm going to give you a most powerful tip here. So the ideal number of slides in a PowerPoint presentation is 10. 10.
Yes.
That's all you should use. You will be lucky to get 10 points across. 10 key points in a slide presentation. Now, you may be sitting there thinking, Guy, you are a hypocrite, right? Because you're telling us to use 10, and you're on number like 35 right now. Right? Why is that? Let me explain. You are not me. 10 slides. You should be able to give these 10 slides in 20 minutes. Why is that? Most meetings are an hour. Why 20 minutes? It's because, unlike this enlightened audience, in the world, generally speaking, about 95% of the world uses Windows laptops. And I know from first-hand experience, when somebody shows up with a Windows laptop, it often takes them 40 minutes to make it work with the projector. So I have to allocate 40 minutes for Windows users. If the whole world used the Macintosh, this would be the 1060 rule. And the third point, that the ideal font size for PowerPoint is 30 points. A very good rule of thumb is figure out who the oldest person is in your audience, divide his or her age by 2. 60-year-old people, 30 points. 50-year-old people, 25 points. One day you may be pitching a 16-year-old venture capitalist. That day, use the 8-point font. But until that day, 10 slides, 20 minutes, 30 points. I'm going to give you one more tip about PowerPoint. I think that you should take your PowerPoint presentation, go to the master page, make a black background. The background of PowerPoint should be black. The font should be white. Because a black background shows a more serious PowerPoint approach. I think that when people see a white background, they think, and it's probably true, that you booted PowerPoint and you started typing in text. And if you do that, you're going to start with a white background with black text. Think about it. Have you ever been to a movie where when the credits played, it was black text on white background? Never. It's always white text on black background. So a power tip for you, you can double or triple the perceived quality of your presentation just by making your background black and your text white. If you took that text and then selected it and made it all 30 points and kept cutting until the 30-point text fit, and you had a black background, you'd have a better PowerPoint pitch than 90% of the people in the world. Just those two things. All right, so bigger font, black background. 2 key tips for PowerPoint. Number 11 is a bonus to my friends here in Colombia. Number 11 is don't let the bozos grind you down. The bozos are going to try to grind you down. They're going to tell you that your company can't succeed, won't succeed, that your product or service isn't necessary. And you know what? If you listen to those people, you will never try. And that is the worst outcome of all. So there are two kinds of bozos, naysayers, negative people in the world. One is clearly a loser, right? Disgusting person, body odor, pocket protector, Japanese watch, rusty car. You look at that person and say, wow, you are a loser. That person is not dangerous, because only losers listen to losers. So unless you're a loser is not dangerous for you. The dangerous bozo is the winner bozo. The winner bozo dresses in all black. The winner bozo owns a lot of things that end in I, like Armani, Maserati, Lamborghini, Ferrari. Audi is the exception. Audi is okay. So you look at this person, dressed in all black, rich, famous, powerful, and you think that must mean this person is smart. And because this person is smart, I should listen to this person. I recommend that you don't. Because I think that half the time, rich, famous, powerful people are lucky. They're not smart. So don't confuse success with smartness. A lot of times it's just pure luck. I believe that bozosity is just like the flu. How do we fight the flu? We get a flu shot. I'm going to give you a shot of bozosity, so that when you encounter bozosity in the rest of your careers, hopefully you remember this day when I showed you some very rich, famous, powerful, and successful people who were so wrong. So that if some rich, famous, successful person tells you it can't be done, it shouldn't be done, you will remember that they are not necessarily right. First example, I think there's a world market for maybe 5 computers. Chairman of IBM said this, 5 computers in the world. I have 5 Macintoshes in my house. I have all the computers he anticipated in the world in my house today. This telephone has too many shortcomings to be seriously considered as a means of communication. The device is inherently of no value to us. Western Union wrote off telephony in 1876. Oops. Western Union is not Square today. It is not PayPal. It is not Bitcoin. It's because it was on one curve, the telegraph curve. It could not embrace the telephone curve. And if you don't embrace the telephone curve, it's a little difficult to get to these internet curves. Maybe the strategic direction for Western Union was, let's teach Americans the Morse code. How hard could that be? And then we could put a telegraph in every house. There's no reason why anyone would want a computer in their home. Ken Olsen, founder of DEC, fantastic innovator, fantastic entrepreneur, created digital equipment, right? But he was so successful on the mini computer curve, he could not embrace the personal computer curve. To use an ice analogy, if you owned a very successful ice factory, would you have embraced and jumped to and created the refrigerator curve? Probably not. You'd be saying ice factories are successful, ice factories can scale, ice factories. We can build more ice factories, bigger ice factories. We can deliver ice faster and farther with more trucks. But you would not embrace the next curve. This is an example of that. Ken Olsen was so successful on the mini computer curve, he could not embrace the personal computer curve. Now, as many of you are entrepreneurs, you're probably getting a lot of advice that you should get advisors and value-added investors, people who have credibility in their industry, people who could give you great insights. So imagine, if you would, that you were Steve Jobs or Steve Wozniak, and it's 1976, 1975, you're starting Apple. And you're starting Apple, and people are telling you you need to get good advice, you need to get good advisors. So who would be the perfect advisor for Apple? Ken Olsen. Ken Olsen created DEC. He truly understood the computer business. What if you were Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak and you ran into Ken Olsen at a computer show and you said to Ken Olsen, you know, Mr. Olsen, we think that computers should be smaller, cheaper, easier to use, Mr. Olsen. They should be so small, so cheap, so easy to use, Mr. Olsen, that you could have a computer in your house, Mr. Olsen. And Mr. Olsen responded by saying, son, there is no reason why anybody would want a computer in your house. Why don't you learn COBOL and come work for DEC? And there would be no Apple today. This is the danger of listening to very successful people. Now, I wish I could tell you that whenever somebody tells you you'll fail, it means you'll succeed. That's not true either. But if somebody tells you you'll fail and you don't even try, you will never know. And that's the worst outcome of all. Now, I need to ask, I have not been watching the time, so how much time do I have left? I don't have 1 hour left.
46 minutos.
How much time do I have left? 5 minutes? Okay.
Oh, 15. 50.
I'm going to tell you one more story about Bozosity. It's my personal story. So about 15 years ago, Michael Moritz of Sequoia Capital, which is probably the most successful venture capital firm in Silicon Valley, called me up and he said, Guy, I just funded a company. Would you like to interview for the CEO position of this company? And I found out what the company's name was. I checked it out on the web. And I looked at it, and I didn't see the patent pending, curve jumping, paradigm shifting, great new curve. I didn't see a proven management team. I didn't see a proven market. And my wife and I were living in San Francisco, and this company was about an hour away. Okay? And so I realized that if I were to be the CEO of this company, I would have to drive 2 hours every day. So I told Michael Moritz, I don't want to even interview for the CEO position of this company. It is too far away. My wife and I have one son. She's in beta with our second son. It's too far to drive, and I don't see how it could be a business. So let's suppose that I wasn't such a bozo, and I actually took the interview. I would have gotten the job. What was the job? The job was to be the first CEO of Yahoo. Now, Yahoo is in some difficult times now, but you have to remember, this would be the first CEO of Yahoo. And so I figured that by me turning down this interview and me not taking this job, it cost me roughly $2 billion. $2 billion adds up. $2 billion here, $2 billion there adds up. This is a critical mistake that I made in my life. And it was because of my own bozosity. I did not appreciate the fact that the internet was not simply an extension of the Macintosh or personal computer curve. Literally, I thought when I first encountered the internet, this is what's coming through the Macintosh modem cable. It's not a new curve, it's part of the personal computer curve. So I could not wrap my mind around how fantastic the internet could be. Another example of dangerous velocity. If I had taken that job at Yahoo, I would have made $2 billion, and I would not be here today. $2 billion. Now, do you each have this card? Did you get one of these cards? Yeah. Okay, so now I'm just going to tell you about my day job. Okay, one little 60-second plug. So my day job is that I am chief evangelist of this company called Canva. And Canva is an online graphics design service. So you want to create beautiful graphics for PowerPoint, for social media, please check out Canva. This card is a $10 coupon for you to use Canva for free. A lot of Canva is free anyway. You may never have to pay anything with Canva, but this is $10 worth. So that's my gift from all of you, okay? Thank you. So, can you all hold up this card and I'll take a picture of everybody holding up this card? That'd be fantastic. This is my kind of crowd, so... Alright. So promise me you'll try Canva, okay? Thank you very much. One last thing I want to tell you. One last thing. So, you know, obviously I'm from Silicon Valley. I'm from America. And I travel all over the world. And I'll tell you something. Entrepreneurs are more similar all over the world than they are different. Trust me when I tell you that. There's nothing that magical about Silicon Valley. It's not that we're smarter in Silicon Valley. The world is truly a flat place. There is no reason why one of you is not going to be the next Steve Jobs or Mark Zuckerberg or Steve Wozniak or Larry or Sergey from Google. There's no reason. The world is flat. But one thing that could affect you is this. When I go all over the world and I meet with entrepreneurs not from the United States, many of them have the attitude that they want to have a fast second or a fast copy of an American idea, right? So they want to create eBay for Colombia. They want to create Uber for Colombia. They want to create Snapchat for Colombia. Let me just tell you something. Your goal should never be to create the fast copy of an American or Silicon Valley idea. Your goal should be to create an idea that is so good that Silicon Valley wants to copy your idea. That's the challenge. The art of innovation. Thank you very much. Thank you.